Welcome to the Real Estate Syndication Show. Whether you are a seasoned investor or building a new real estate business, this is the show for you. Whitney Sewell talks to top experts in the business. Our goal is to help you master real estate syndication. And now your host, Whitney Sewell.
Bedford's Cost Segregation specializes in generating significant tax savings via their engineering-based studies for commercial real estate clients nationwide. Founded in 2002, Bedford is one of the largest independently owned cost segregation providers in the country, with over 14,000 studies completed to date in multiple offices throughout. The most important decision ownership can make when incorporating cost segregation within their real estate portfolio is selecting the right provider. With only 43 certified cost segregation professionals nationwide, Bedford is proud to employ 8 of them and takes the quality of their people as seriously as their studies. Every certified cost segregation professional has passed a rigorous test combining knowledge of technical engineering issues, legal tax issues, ethics standards, and requires a strict level of prior work experience to be eligible. Bottom line, not all cost segregation providers are created equal. So be sure to take the decision seriously from the beginning to protect yourself for years to come. Please contact Bedford's Business Development Director, Frank Judici, to learn more. This is your daily real estate syndication show. I'm your host, Whitney Sewell. Today our guest is Anthony Behar. Thanks for being on the show, Anthony.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited you reached out, Whitney.
Yeah, Anthony is a partner and executive vice president at Major Properties. He is an expert in commercial real estate. He also hosts the Behar on the Block podcast. Anthony, thank you again for your time this morning and giving back in that way to the listeners and myself. Give us a little more about your experience in the industry. I know you've been in this business for many, many years and are a very knowledgeable individual just about the syndication business and what's happening in real estate. But give us a little more about your background and let's jump in.
Sure. Appreciate it. And it's good to be East Coast, West Coast talking right now. So for you listeners out there, I'm in Los Angeles and I'm a commercial real estate broker. I've been in the business about 18 years. So I've seen a lot. I've weathered a lot of storms. I've seen the ups and downs and multiple cycles of real estate. And my expertise really lies in commercial real estate. And so that covers primarily industrial, anything in the industrial sector. So warehousing, distribution, manufacturing, food, cold storage, auto facilities, land play. We work with and represent property owners across all of those sectors and owner users of these type of properties. Investors and developers as well. Nice.
No, that's awesome. Let's just jump in, to your marketplace and helping us understand what's happening there. Even in just Los Angeles altogether, but just and give us some insight just on what's happened, what the market temperature is there, and why.
So, super interesting question. There obviously there's been so much shift in real estate, and I think we're going through a really unique time as a result of COVID. But our market, the Los Angeles market, the greater LA market, tends to hold up a little bit better than a lot of other parts of the country. And we saw this in 08, 09. We were sort of the last to get hit. We were one of the first to come back out of it. Partly because of the appreciation. We have amazing appreciation of real estate here in Los Angeles, and just the vast resources of the universities, entertainment, the density, the proximity to so many great things, and the mountains, beaches, deserts. So I think LA always is able to bounce back. But what we're seeing right now in real estate is a major shift in the way commercial and industrial properties are being handled. And so what do I mean by that? So pre-COVID, we saw a lot of retail was really starting to slow down. And because of COVID now, the retail sectors have been hit really, really bad, I think, all across the country. So you have the malls, which we're seeing get repositioned. We're seeing the small retail buildings along the corridors that come in and out of Los Angeles. So for those of you that don't know, the Pico Boulevard, Olympic Boulevard, these are major east-west thoroughfares between the beach and downtown Los Angeles. And they're made up of a mix of all kinds of properties, strip malls, standalone, small little retail buildings, and some multifamily. But what we're seeing right now is when there's a cluster of small retail buildings, we have investors and developers looking to take these down and turn them into alternative uses. And one is to turn it into multifamily housing. And that's a big shift we're seeing right now to increase the density across these old buildings. And I think with the way the office market is going across the country, I think the skyscrapers are going to be, hurting in terms of their occupancy. And I think you're going to see a shift towards people taking some of these old retail facilities or retail buildings and turning them into maybe small little offices where they could put 5 or 6 or 7 people. And so we're in the middle of that right now. We're representing the property owners, and we're working with the investors or owner users of these properties and trying to decide, hey, what is the best value for the property today? What is the best value for you as Mr. Owner? Or what is the upside for you as an investor in a syndicator group to come in and buy this property and reposition it? And that's where really the big opportunities lie today. And I don't think that's just for Los Angeles, but I'm sure there are opportunities in all other parts of the country. But for me, from what I'm seeing, my market is very, very specific to the Los Angeles, and we're working on a lot of things like that today.
Do you have an example of maybe a property that you've sold or worked through that was, some type of retail or skyscraper or something that had a change of use though? Now it's multifamily, or now it's used for something else completely different?
So there's a lot. I could cite several, but one of my favorites is it's a gentleman I've been working with for a number of years. He ran a pickle manufacturing facility in the greater LA area. And he was getting close to retirement. And he said, Anthony, I want to sell, I'd like to sell the business, but really I want to sell the real estate here. I've been doing this 50 years. And he made pickles for all the delis and all the restaurants in Los Angeles, just a sweetheart of a guy. And so when I analyzed his property, I said, Marty, I go, I have good news and bad news. And, the good news is your property's worth a lot of money. But the bad news is I don't think anybody is going to buy this for the existing facilities. I think all of your production buildings, your distribution buildings here, your warehouse, they're all functionally obsolete for food. So we have to look at this in a different way. And when I analyzed and valued his property, I said the best way we could maximize your money here and give somebody a great opportunity is to really look at this as a land play. And it was hard for him to swallow. It was hard for a lot of these old time guys to acknowledge that the place where they had their business, where they made money, where they made a life is only worth what the land is today. But that's the fact. And that's what's happening here in Los Angeles. So when we brought the property to the market, we marketed and sold and specifically went after housing developers. And at the end of the day, we closed the deal about a year ago with an affordable housing developer that's going to reposition this site. It was about 3 acres. And the other interesting part was we ended up assembling every other property on the entire city square block. So we went after, there were some old single family homes. There was an auto facility that were all adjacent to it. So in the end, it maybe ended up being like another acre of properties. And then so it gave a developer an opportunity to really improve an area, and it gave the ownership a great way to exit and get the most value out of his property.
Nice. What was the seller's take on that? Like when you're starting to explain, okay, this building is is really costing us more than it's worth now, because somebody's going to have to take it down, right, and remove it. And just the value of the land is what you're going to sell. I mean, what's their take on that? I mean, like you said, I know that's so hard because that's where they've spent so much time and they feel like this building's valuable. But how do you convince a seller, of that?
Well, I think you got to make them believe in what you're saying, and it's coming across as the expert and being honest and transparent and truthful, and showing them why that it's the buildings aren't really the value and why the land is, and showing what could be done here, and what if somebody wanted to put another food operation in, what the people are looking for today. And they're not looking for buildings that are 60, 70 years old. And we'd cite specific examples of what a new and great food building is. And unfortunately, that's not you. But if you really want to maximize the dollars, this is the direction we have to go after. So yeah, sometimes they're hard conversations and owners don't want to hear it. But I think at the end of the day, everyone's trying to maximize the value of their real estate.
And speaking of the value of the real estate, can you walk through a little bit of how you're coming up with that value when the building's worth nothing? You don't know who the buyer is going to be. You don't know what kind of property they're going to want to build here, or there's no revenue per se. But I know you're looking at comps and other things like that. But maybe you could just walk through a little bit of we're going to reposition this land completely into something else. How are you valuing that?
Right. So here's something good. Here's good to give some value to your listeners, for people that are looking for opportunities, right? Everybody wants to find the added value opportunity. So I look at this, I'll look at the zoning in place, right? Super, super important. Every city, every state is completely different. So if the zoning is good, so for us in Los Angeles, what does that mean? If there's a C4 zoning already there, it allows for so many different uses on the land. It could allow for multifamily, office building, various types of commercial. I would look at the size of the property, ingress, egress opportunities, how close you are to schools, public transportation, hospitals, what else is happening in the area. It's also understanding, what things the cities are looking for, right? How do they want to improve? Is there bond money out there for these developers? Are there resources for the developers to come in? So looking at all of that, understanding the macro level of the city and the greater landscape of the area also helps. So I could look at another property, say in a very, very industrial area, and maybe the building isn't really worth anything. Maybe it's an old metal building on a large piece of land, but I know that area of the city is never going to allow housing to be developed there. It's always going to be industrial. So it's really understanding, what part of the city you're in, what the city people want, and what's in the surrounding area. So, every piece of real estate is different, and I think each gives different types of opportunities. And that's where the fun part of being a real estate investor comes in, is knowing how to sort through it and look for these value add opportunities.
For sure. Well, I know you're working with so many sellers, right? And then so many buyers as well, so many other syndicators in the business. Can you tell us, just give us an inside peek of a little bit about, you had mentioned earlier, like sniffing out the people that are serious, to work with or not. I'd love for you to highlight, on that just a little bit, so the listener and myself can just understand a little better about just your perspective, when working with somebody like us.
Right. No, great. So for all you syndicators, and we're want to be syndicating, learning to syndicate, I would say, a few things. So have your ducks in a row. Super, super important. Have your track record laid out. Be very transparent with the brokers you're talking about. Let them know what you're doing. Let them know where your capital's coming from. Let them know that what you've done before in the business, or in this area, in the city, or if you're new to the area, just let the brokers know who you're working with, so you could build that trust, build that relationship. And look, the brokers want to get deals done, and if you're honest and transparent about what you're doing, they'll help you and they'll work with you. But I would say, be honest about what you've done, and have a good team lined up. I mean, this, have your title people, your escrow people, your attorneys, your consultants, have those people lined up so you can act fast. I mean, in our market here in Los Angeles, there isn't time to go back and forth so much. I mean, our market is still very hot, even in the midst of COVID. There's a lack of supply. Debt is really cheap still right now. So when a decent property, a good property, an opportunity comes up, a lot of people are looking at this, and you want to be the go-to guys. So build those relationships with the brokerage, build the relationships with the brokerage community, because they and we have the in sometimes, and a lot of times, a good broker will want to keep it himself, and if he knows you can act and close, he'll bring that deal to you.
Nice. So representing yourself well. So really the broker knows you're very serious, right? You're not coming in and just asking elementary questions. You've done your homework.
Right. Have some homework done. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Any key red flags that you see, from newer operators or developers that just really tell you, okay, wait a minute, this is not worth my time, or this individual's not going to buy anything?
Well, yeah. If I know somebody has no money and they have no skin in the game, I don't want to work with them, and I'm not going to encourage my client to look at an offer from this person, even though maybe they talk a big game or they're going to make a full price offer. But if they have no skin in the game, if they've never developed anything, if they've never syndicated anything before, and they're going after a $20 million property, I don't think that's the person that I want to go after. I want to know who they're working with. I want to know what kind of, where their financing is coming from. Who are their lenders or their mortgage brokers? What have you done? Show me something that you've done. I don't care if it's maybe a few small deals. You've been involved in this. Who are your partners? Let us know what your background is, and have that lined up. And don't try to just talk to me on the fly about it, because we could sniff it out really fast.
Nice. Yeah, you definitely worked with enough operators and developers. You can see through most of that right away, I'm sure.
Yeah, 100%.
So Anthony, going back to the market just quickly, what are ways that you see like a town like Los Angeles standing out? You mentioned it usually a recession hits it later, maybe, or it withstands some things that other markets can't. Why is that? And what have you seen in the past through maybe 2008, how it performed versus other markets, before we have to move to a few final questions?
Sure. So, I mean, I don't know a lot of other markets, right? I mean, one of my, expertise is this. I know the greater Los Angeles, LA County really, really well. I'm an LA native. I grew up here, and I've spent my whole real estate career really focusing on this market. I've done some investment deals in other parts of the country when I've helped clients work on 1031 exchanges, but LA's a really, really unique place. Number one, we have the second biggest port in the country. And so we have containers coming in, the LA ports, Long Beach ports. They're huge, right? So we have incredible freeway system here. We have easy access to so much distribution. LA is very spread out. We have warehouses, 1 million square feet to 5,000 square feet. The density in this place, the weather, like I was saying earlier, the universities, the entertainment, the culture. I just think LA tends to bounce back pretty quick. Even though, we were down in 2008, 2009, we came back, and we came back really strong. And I think we're going to see that here. And I think LA is a place that pivots, it changes, and the real estate morphs, right? It grows, and the people that can't see what the other alternatives are for the real estate, these are going to be the people that are going to lose. But tip to your guys. So, if you want to be a savvy investor, look for the opportunities where a piece of real estate has been something for 50 years and look at what it could be. Just because it's a retail or an office doesn't mean it can't be something else. And I think, the really smart guys and really smart brokers are looking for those opportunities and advising their clients and investors on how to reposition these assets. And that's what's been happening for so long. LA continues to grow, the real estate grows, and working on the change of use on these properties is helping us.
Anthony, what's been the hardest part of this, being involved in just the syndication business for you?
I would say a couple things. One, as an investor, it's being with somebody that has a great track record, finding a really good sponsor, right? And so I want to know personally who this person has worked with and what they've done. So there's a lot of people out there that are syndicating. I mean, I've been around it my whole life. My father was in the syndication business. He actually did what you're doing. He syndicated apartment buildings all over the country. So I've been around it my entire life. And, it's being with a sponsor that's going to take care of his investors, because once in a while, there's going to be something that goes bad, something in the economy, right? Something that could happen that's out of everybody's control. But a sponsor that takes care of his investors is somebody that I want to be with and I want to work with. And that's, those people are really hard to come by. So, you can never predict it all, but just be very picky on who you choose to put your hard-earned money with.
How do you encourage people or tell people to be prepared for a downturn, or maybe like we're in now, or maybe what you see coming in the future?
So being prepared, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I would say that is probably rule number one in investing. And if you're not comfortable with the opportunities, then wait. There's never going to be a perfect time to invest, but I think large amounts of wealth are made in downturns. So you got to have a little risk element in you. And if you can't, then maybe real estate's not for you. But I've seen tremendous wealth be made in real estate during downturns, and you have to have it in your stomach to be able to ride out the waves. It's not always good and certainly not always bad. And in the end, if you could stomach it, you're going to make a lot of money investing passively or actively in real estate.
What's a way you've recently improved your business that we could apply to ours?
So that's funny you say that. When COVID hit, and after I think the shock wore off, and we realized it's not going to be 2 weeks and it's not going to be 3 or 4, and we all realized we're in this for the long haul. And I had been through a really bad downturn in 2008. I decided I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to be a victim of this. And I actually started working with a real estate coach for the first time in 18 years. And I worked with him for about 16 weeks, really through the heart of all this COVID. And while everybody was completely distressed and spinning out of control, and a lot of people had negative approaches to real estate, the business, the economy, the world. And I really took a different approach and really tried to stay positive and really doubled down on my efforts in reaching out and talking and advising and helping my clients and prospective new clients. And as a result, my business has continued to flourish during COVID and during these last 5 or 6 months. And it's continuing to go that way for the rest of the year, and looking at ways to find new opportunities. I mean, real estate's a tough game, and real opportunities don't fall in your lap, whether you're an investor and syndicator like yourself or a broker like me. You got to find these opportunities. They're not going to just drop in your lap. And so that's what I've been able to do. And that's one way I've helped improve my business along the way.
Nice. Now, you mentioned earlier investing passively and working with operators that are going to take care of you. What's been a way that an operator or a person, team that you're investing with have stood out to you? So you chose them, one, to invest with, but then just also through their operations or communication or whatever that may be. What was a way that they stood out to you in a good way?
Well, okay, so that's a big thing. I mean, the communication is a big thing. I want to know, hey, I want to know the good and I want to know the bad. I don't want you to hide when something's not going well. Let us know as investors. We want to know just so we're knowledgeable. We don't want to be hit and blindsided by something if this deal's going south, if it's going bad. Keep us informed. Tell us what's going on. And in a recent syndication deal I was in, we had some really tough times through it. But the sponsor he was good in the sense that he kept us all very informed. He gave us reports. He kept us up to date. He told us if there was a problem, a lien, a new lawsuit coming down, or problems with a lender. And we get it. We're savvy investors. We understand it's not going to be always rosy. So somebody that's communicating constantly to us, somebody that has a good, like I said, someone that has a good track record. And I like to talk to people that have invested with this person before, so I can get a sense and a review of what they're like to work with.
What's the number one thing that's contributed to your success?
I would say a couple things. I mean, staying positive for sure. Real estate is a really hard business. It's not a get rich quick. I don't care what you see and read and hear out there. It is a tough business. It's a life. And I think staying positive and learning to shift with the market and with the times, having gratitude every day for all the smaller things in my life, and learning to help people along the way. And so giving back in that sense. I love to train the young agents in our office, the junior agents. And so when I can give back and help them, it refreshes what I know, what I've done and what I've learned. And that always feels good too. So, I mean, those three things probably stand out
that's awesome.
right away.
And tell us how you like to give back. I know you just mentioned one. Probably,
a couple ways. One, from the business standpoint, right? I love to train and help and mentor the junior agents, and because I remember when I was first getting into the business, it was a struggle. It was hard. I see it every day with the young people, and so I like to work with them, help them, mentor them, work on cold calling skills, work on negotiation, work on sales skills, work on your market. I mean, whatever they need, I like to help them and give back. That's number one. Number two, I think it's so important to be involved in some sort of charity to your community or something you believe in. So for me, it's been an organization called the Guardians. We support a Jewish home for the aging out here in Los Angeles. And I've been a member there for 25 years. And just to give back in that way. And not only that, I think it helps, it gives you a presence in the community, and it helps build new relationships, which could be maybe for your business, or maybe for personal. And it's, if you don't do it, do it. For all your listeners, find an organization, find something to give back in. If you're making money with Whitney here on all those real estate syndication deals, you'll have a little extra to spread out.
Anthony, thank you so much for your time. I'm grateful just for your expertise in Los Angeles, but just helping us think through, the change of use and helping us break out of, seeing a building and thinking that's our option. What can we do with this building? But there may be other options there, and helping us just think, okay, the changing times in the market right now, and what may be the best or most valuable use of a space or piece of land, as opposed to, not counting what type of property it is specifically. So grateful for that, and just helping us understand, as a new operator that's maybe listening, having their ducks in a row and how they can be best prepared and present themselves very professionally to somebody like yourself when they're hoping to purchase a property. Thank you again, Anthony. Tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you and learn more about you.
Well, Whitney, thank you so much for reaching out. It's been great. It's been a lot of fun, and being here at 7 in the morning LA time with you. So I love it. So for me, so my podcast is Behar on the Block, and that could be found on iTunes or anywhere podcasts can be found. Though that comes out monthly. One day I'll try to keep up with Whitney and try to get an everyday show. I don't know about that, but that's impressive, very impressive. But mine's about monthly right now. And on all the social, LinkedIn, of course, at Anthony Behar, Twitter at Anthony S. Behar, and Instagram is where you can find me. And our company is Major Properties Real Estate. We're here in Los Angeles, in downtown LA. So if anybody's looking to invest in the LA market, I would love to talk to you, help you, and explore some opportunities.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Syndication Show, brought to you by LifeBridge Capital. LifeBridge Capital works with investors nationwide to invest in real estate, while also donating 50% of its profits to assist parents who are committing to adoption. LifeBridge Capital, making a difference, one investor and one child at a time. Connect online at www.lifebridgecapital.com for free material and videos to further your success.